I think it was something different. It was something different at the time. She has a new show that's amazing. It's called Traffic.
Yeah.
It's fucking incredible. This lady, she has Titanic balls. If she was a man, they would be too big for her to walk.
There was a show called Vanguard on Current TV.
Current TV. Her new show called Traffic, she goes to Colombia where they make cocaine.
Jeez.
And she's there every step of the way. Not only is she there, but
Right.
she hikes out, backpacks with them. And the new show's on Nat Geo, right? Dude, the new show exposes how the fucking LAPD, like rogue agents in the LAPD, are trafficking guns to the cartels in Mexico.
Wow.
Through LA, because, you know, you can drive into Mexico with no inspection. You just drive. So they don't give a fuck if you drive in. So these guys were buying guns or taking guns from like criminals,
Right.
and then selling them to the cartels. And she went with them every step of the way. She went with the people in Colombia. She showed them the chemist making the cocaine. See if we can get a video of this, because it's fucking crazy.
It's fucking nuts.
Is the video online? The video of the cocaine shit? Dude, it's so crazy. They're stomping on this stuff. This is the coca leaves. They're making the cocaine. They pour like fucking gasoline. There's her right there. There's Mariana. She's such a fucking courageous, boots on the ground journalist. And she hikes out with them. They carry these fucking backpacks filled with cocaine, like $1 million worth of coke, or $750,000 worth of coke on their back.
Right.
And they're walking 18 hours through the fucking jungle because you can't afford to have it in a car. You'll get pulled over. People steal it. And so
This
they
is such an interesting
hike out.
process, what they do. You know?
That lady is so courageous.
She's tough.
Dude, you got to watch the show.
Why does she do this? Is she like a big cocaine addict?
Yeah, that's exactly what. So they rat it around.
She loves love.
She's a journalist.
Can you hate drugs though if you do that? You gotta be a little curious.
Well, just get a little.
She probably goes, give me a little taste.
It's easier to hike out.
You gotta be a little curious for doing that.
Imagine
Yeah, you're like, she has big balls. I'm like, she's a crackhead. She's freebasing cocaine all day. Yeah.
She's out there doing coke.
Good for her.
Yeah.
For her.
And, you know, you see also there's a lot of myths. Like, you think that, like, the people that grow in the cocaine are these, like, these evil cartels. No, they're farmers.
Right.
The people growing the coca leaves are just poor farmers.
They need to do it.
They're out there in Colombia drying them on the side of the road. Like, on the side of the road, they have, like, these blankets set out with coca leaves. And they're drying them out, and they sell them to the cartel.
That's what, like, Vice used to be.
Yeah.
Vice used to be that. Now Vice is like running things where it's like pregnant women being discriminated against in MMA. And you're like, what?
Right.
But
veganism.
Yeah. But that's what Vice used to be when it was fucking awesome. You know, little mini documentaries where people would go to like towns that were, you know, from like, they go to Chernobyl or something. They go to really cool places.
Shane Smith.
Yeah.
He did all that shit.
Yeah.
He went to Chernobyl and they were fucking, they found these nuclear powered wolves that were
running
around.
Dude, shit like that was great. And then
Vice was amazing.
And then it just went crazy.
They sold it for a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's
unfortunate.
And then it became, they became wolves.
Were you a Limbaugh fan at any point? No, but did you ever listen to him?
Occasionally, like a little rage listen.
Did he ever make you laugh?
No.
No. He used to make me laugh. You go, well, people say that I don't talk to working people. And then he'd go, I was on a jet the other day with Bill Parcells. He has a job. Like, things like that would make me laugh. He was just there. But again, he supposedly did really bad stuff. When gay people died with AIDS, he supposedly like mocked them with a song or something, which is like, I haven't heard the song. I don't know if it's good. But I guess he did bad shit. He's not a moral paragon. But I mean, I don't know, the dude, he leaned into being that kind of evil, kind of conservative, cigar smoking, SUV driving, live in a castle.
Wait a minute. I drove around an SUV and I'm smoking a cigar right now.
Uh-oh.
What are you trying to say?
But he was also a big fat golfer, which you are not. So but he was interesting. But like anyone that talks for that long, and obviously nobody's gonna love them forever. You're not gonna get love. It's not, part of the program is if you talk for that long, you're gonna anger people. It's gonna anger them. But I always remember him as like a figure from my childhood where he would like always be on and he would just, my grandmother was a big liberal, hated him, and I'd put him on in the car and she'd hate him and she'd go, shut it off.
Well, that was AM radio was always conservative talk radio.
Crotchety, Bob Grant.
Yes, I remember that guy. I remember Bob Grant. I used to listen to
Yeah.
him in New York when I was on my way to gigs.
Yeah, he'd be like, get off my phone. You know, like these people were very, to me, just listening to this world of, it was very funny to me. Like people would get emotional and angry and yell at each other. And I was driving around the suburbs, I'm like, this is kind of an interesting world because it's an interesting entrance point into culture. Is that there's a bunch of people that are fucking angry.
My favorite was Phil Hendry.
He's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
So Phil Hendry's brilliant.
And if people don't know what Phil Hendry would do, Phil Hendry would play both sides. He would be one guy, he would be Phil Hendry, and then there'd be another guy, this ridiculous, outrageous guest who would say things that are preposterous and not true, but it would also be Phil. He would use a voice machine. So he would alter his voice.
Right.
And then he would have callers. And callers would call him, this guy's full of shit.
Right.
This guy's a liar.
He was also doing that.
He would, not always.
Well, not always, but he would do like, every now and then he would do like 4 or 6 voices in a bit. And it was amazing. And then people didn't know. Like people were shocked when they found out that like he was one guy having an argument with 4 people. And you're like, this is one guy. That level of talent's amazing.
Oh, he was brilliant. And still is. Is he still around? Is he still doing it?
He's got a Twitter account, looking him up.
It's a tricky thing because once people find out, then if everyone's in on the joke doesn't work.
Right.
Like you have to have a bunch of rubes out there that
Right.
don't understand what he's doing, or a bunch of people that have never listened before.
Or can just appreciate it at least for what it
There he
is.
is, the Phil Hendry Show. I ran into him. Well, who are all those other people? Those characters that he plays?
Is he a Boston guy or where's he?
No, he's an LA guy, I believe.
Yeah.
He was on in LA. That's when I listened to him. But I hung out with him. Me and him and Stanhope did some thing together with a couple other people in, I believe it was Montreal, some like interview show. And he was a lovely guy, like a really nice guy.
Yeah. Well, supremely talented in a way that very few people are.
And
can do that.
And he's really like he's gracious. Like when I say I go, dude, I really love your show.
Yeah,
I love that. I love what you're doing. I love the nonsense of it. I love the chaos that he creates.
Amazing.
He got a giggle out of it.
It's amazing.
He's happy.
It is because guys like Rush obviously had politics, so they would do 3 hours a day with one topic.
Yeah.
But a guy like Phil is just different all the time. The amount of prep work that goes into that, the amount of ingenuity and imagination is crazy.
Here's a good point. Like, do you think that a guy like Rush is pure, meaning that these are his real opinions? Or do you think that he finds a lane that he can be successful in?
I think it's a bit of both.
Do a lot of continent, bang a lot of women,
Yeah.
and drive around in a Rolls Royce and smoke cigars and just talk craziness.
Probably a little bit of both because one starts to reinforce the other.
That's a problem with characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we see that with comics.
Right.
Like Dice, it's a perfect example. Who I love.
Right.
Love Dice. Dice used to be Andrew Silverstein. And the Dice Man was one of the characters that he did.
Right.
And then he just became that.
Yeah. Like that was the great character. That was the guy.
But he became that guy.
Yeah.
He leaned into it. The
Yeah.
same thing with Kinison, right?
Right.
Kinison was a comic who became Sam Kinison when he became famous, and he brilliant comic, Pentecostal preacher, crazy wild man, speaking in tongues, all that shit, tent revivals, and then when he became famous, and he talked about it openly that he became like known as being like this guy who could do insane drugs. So they would lay out a fucking line of coke as long as this table, and he'd snort it up. He'd be like, "It's him! It's him! Lay the drugs out!" And he would lay down and snort it all. I'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die!" His heart would be beating out of his chest.
It's interesting. I think Rush started kind of like Alex. Rush started as a very like somewhat conspiratorial, outside the mainstream voice on a small radio station, and then I think he found the way to really make money was to take a side and stick with it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? It's like you find a place where it's difficult for all of us. But don't you think that's difficult for all of us?
It's hard for everybody.
But when you find a place where you're successful,
it's
like
hard
we personally, without naming names, we've seen it in people.
Yes.
Like the right lures them in.
Yes.
And then they lean into it like, yeah, you're right, you're right. And then they go into that and you see them change. You see like, so you're not the same person who you were a year ago.
Well, it's the way you said it best, where it's like if that's how you get attention, you keep getting attention.
Yeah.
And I think with Rush, he started to define this landscape where he became the mainstream media in America is decidedly, left leaning. I mean, obviously it's a for-profit commercial space, capitalist space, everything like that. But left leaning in the optics, and Rush was kind of that conservative voice on radio. He was the insurgency, so to speak, against that popular culture. And he defined that space kind of more than anybody. And he was like, he became this grandfather of that type of conservative radio.
And all the people that didn't feel represented, they finally had a guy, and they would give him so much love.
They loved him, and they would drive around with him. It's an interesting medium, radio. It's very personal because you're driving around. A lot of times you're alone, and a lot of times you're not happy. And then you connect with this person on the radio who's there all the time. So they're there every day at the same time.
That's the same thing as podcasts.
It is. Well, podcast is the evolved form of that. But podcast, people are more engaged as a listener because they got to seek it out. They got to, but they still feel very, but radio, you would just turn the dial and then some guys talking.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah. Podcasts, the other thing about podcasts, and this is a thing that I've been talking to Spotify about, as much as people hate the comment section of YouTube, I think it's important.
Sure.
And I think it's one of the reasons why I still have clips on YouTube was an imperative. It was one of the things that I wanted, period. I was like, you have to have clips. We have to have clips up available.
Right.
You don't want to put the whole show on. And originally the whole show was going to be on YouTube. And then this is what happened. I'll tell you about it. When the Elon Musk episode, the first thing I did, I got to smoke weed. And then there was this viral moment. My manager said to Spotify, listen, you have to have video. Because they didn't want it to be on YouTube. And that was the deal breaker. I was like, it has to be on video. It has to. You have to have something, some video aspect of it. You have to, that's where you get a viral moment. You don't get an audio viral moment.
Right.
You need video. You need to see Elon go, you need to see that. You need to see that. And then they're like, you're right, let's do video. And then they got into video. And that's one of the reasons why there's so many hiccups in the transition between YouTube and what we're doing right now, where I can't talk too much, but a lot of it is going to improve. There's a lot of stuff that they're on the verge of releasing, which will help a lot in terms of people having access to the video portion of the show. But you got to have comments. I think comments are important because it gives people the sense that they can talk about it. They can talk shit. They like to criticize. They like to pile on. They like to have their own little thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's
an important part of the show.
That's missing on talk radio, right? On talk radio,
it is.
Have that.
It is missing on that. However, talk radio before the comment section was like this weird original comment section where people would call up and then they'd have regular callers. So you have the guys that have the top comment. Everyone's fighting to get that top comment or whatever. You had regular callers that would call in, and Bob Grant, there's one guy who's called Bob Grant, and he goes, come on, get out with it. I know you want to talk about the Jews, because this was just an anti-Semitic guy who would just start from anywhere. He'd be like, the Columbus Day Parade, and then
here's the problem with hot dogs.
Yeah, it would just go right to Jews. So you'd have these regular crazy callers, and it was the beginning of like all these weird things, like Reddit or any of these things, because like they would send Bob Grant, all these people, they would send them song parodies, they would send them artwork, they would send them, it was just this weird, that's where everyone's like, where is this, all this male anger, where, it's like, it was there, it's always there.
Anger.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's like there's always frustrated people that are angry. You got to give them an outlet, and the outlet should be kind of funny.
Isn't it interesting that like female versions of podcasts, when you come to like female anger, like what are the top female podcasts? It's Guys We Fucked, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're not, no, because they're on Lumosity. What's the other one? Call Her Daddy.
Call Her Daddy is the big one.
But what it is, they're girls talking about like stuff they would talk about if they were hanging out with their friends.
Right.
Where no one was listening.
Right.
And that is, it's not political, and it's not.
Or murder. That's a big one.
They love murder. They love serial killer shows.
They love murder.
And they love those A&E unsolved mysteries.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of women out there that are like, I hope someone cares enough about me to throw me in a trunk.
That's not what it is.
I think that's a lot of women.
They're vulnerable.
Well, sure. There's
They
part of
want
that
to understand what
psychosexual thing. Sure.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, they want to understand the male violence. They don't see this. They don't have that aspect of their brain.
Yes, but I also think some of them are like, hey, doesn't that sound nice?
Well, the only female serial killer that's on record is that we know of is
Eileen
Wuornos.
Yeah.
Who made that movie Monster. My friend Patty, she directed that.
Crazy.
She
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
great movie.
amazing.
It's about, and she would just kill Johns,
Yeah,
but only when they fucked with her, I think.
no,
She killed them all
she's
the time. Okay.
she fucking hated those guys. Well, she was abused and raped. And,
I know, but I don't know.
that's a fucking. That shows you how good
She's
Charlene Theron is.
She's
too.
great. Charlize Theron. Isn't she the one that plays all the
Charlize
Asian parts? People get mad.
No, that's the Scarlett Johansson.
Right. Thank you for
That's
correcting.
not, you're gay. You don't care about this.
I don't really care about these women. I don't care about. I mean, I know who they are. I think they're good actresses.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, I'm not like following Scarlett Johansson's career. I do like when she plays an Asian, though. I think that's good.
I don't think it was an Asian. I think she was playing a Caucasian in a role that was traditionally an Asian role.
Well, I support whatever she wants to do.
Me too.
I think she should play Queen Latifah in a biopic. Whatever she
I
wants.
don't think that's a bias.
I'm all for chaos and people getting mad.
Didn't she back out of a movie where she was supposed to play a trans person?
Yeah, she's always the
That's
one.
her
It's
thing.
always her that she's like always gonna play someone that she shouldn't play. It's always like Scarlett Johansson is gonna play Maya Angelou, and everyone's like, what the fuck? Everyone's like, no, and then she comes out, she's like, I just didn't realize the deep pain. And I'm like,
Scarlett
own it.
Johansson is Harry Tubman.
Yeah, she's Harriet Tubman. Just go out and own it and be like, I am Maya Angelou. Fuck you if you can't see it. I'm the greatest actress to never live.
Yeah, she's
Stop
Harry
with the
Tubman,
apologize.
but they just CGI her, make her black. It's not blackface.
Right.
It's
I'm
CGI.
all for it.
It's no different than
it's
Avatar.
acting.
Exactly.
It's acting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, she's an interesting character. Did you ever see that movie? I think it's called Under the Skin. And it's an indie science fiction movie with Scarlett
I think
Johansson. It's one of my favorite science fiction movies. It's really interesting. She plays an alien that I gotta remember the premise.
an illegal alien? No, she's an actual
like
alien.
an actual alien from another planet. And I forget what she does. Like
Disguising herself as a human female and extraterrestrial drives around
Yeah.
Scotland attempting to lure unsuspecting men into her van. Once there, she seduces and sends them to another dimension where they're nothing more than meat. That's kind of fucking cool.
it was a good movie.
That's pretty cool.
63% like this movie, and 37% just pussies. It's a good movie. It's weird. It's a weird movie. You got to see it. It's real weird. Under the Skin TV series. Wait. Back up. Back up to what you just had. TV series leads to bidding wars. Oh, there's a TV series based on it. I wonder if Scarlett Johansson's going to be in that too. See, the thing is, like, part of it, she's oddly beautiful, right? Like, look at that picture in the middle, the up top.
It's very pretty.
She's very pretty, but in a weird way. Like, undeniably beautiful, but
Right.
untraditional in some ways.
Yeah. Like exotic.
Yeah,
Kinda.
like weird.
Yeah.
It's like you would think she wouldn't buy in any bullshit.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
pretty, but probably too
She dates
smart for
Colin
her own
Jost.
good. He's the writer on Saturday Night Live, right?
Yeah, he's the,
she's married to him.
Yeah, they're married. We can update. Good dude. Really good guy.
You like him? You know him?
He's a really good guy. When I opened for McCaroline's years ago, he gave me extra money. He's just a really
Oh,
class
that's
act, good guy, friendly guy.
Dress is nice.
Dress is nice, good
Beautiful
dude.
hair.
Yeah, no, he's a good dude, and
He wins.
He wins.
He
He's like
wins.
a Harvard guy.
He
He's
wins.
just he's killed
He
it.
married Scarlett
He
Johansson.
just killed it. In life, you know.
Don't they have a baby together or something?
I don't know them that well.
She has a baby, right?
They might.
Does she have a baby previous to him? I don't give a fuck about that. But here's the thing.
Yeah, she might be pretending
I like
to be
her.
pregnant. She's pretending to have a baby. She's full of shit. She's a mom. Her child's Asian.
I don't think that's true, but I'm a fan.
I'm available.
But there was a
You guys
movie where she got in trouble.
I was looking that up.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah, here it is. Scarlett Johansson faced criticism for wanting to play a trans man in Rub and Tug. First of all, the name
Rub and
alone.
Tug?
Perfect. It was announced that Johansson wanted to play Dante Text Gill, a trans man who ran a massage parlor and prostitution ring in Pittsburgh in the 1970s and 80s, who was pushed back, asserting that a trans actor should have a chance to play the part. Shut the fuck up. Find me a trans actor that everybody knows is going to sell tickets the way Scarlett Johansson does. Like, you got to understand there's a business involved in making
Good
good
point.
points.
That's a great point.
It's not just about, Like, and it doesn't invalidate her. She's an actress. Like, if she plays a superhero, okay, when she plays Black Widow or whatever the fuck it is,
Right.
she's not really a fucking superhero. She's not,
Or a
what is-
spider.
What is the one? Is it Black Widow? Yeah, she's not really a fucking superhero, guys.
Right.
She's acting.
Yeah.
Like, why can't a regular heterosexual woman play a trans man? Why not?
I don't know. I think people are like, hey, give the trans person. But here's the thing:
How many people though?
here's the
Of
thing.
course.
And also, they got to make money. So they got like movies are cast. This is, and I just spoke to a big director recently, and I didn't even realize this.
You dropping names?
Movie, he told me I was going to be in something. He told me I was going to be in something, and I submitted the audition, and I didn't get it. Okay, and then I lost $1,800 on AMC stock, and I thought I was going to retire. So can someone call Dave Portnoy and ask for my money? Where's the line holding? I'm fucked now.
He's busy sampling pizza.
So I told this director. He goes, listen. He goes, they cast a movie based on box office numbers.
Of course.
I mean, it's like it's no one cares.
Yeah, if you're doing a movie
math.
and you feel like you're the perfect person for the role, but Marky Mark wants that part, it's over. It's over. It's over.
It's over. So I don't know who they're replacing me with. Probably Amy Schumer.
Probably The Rock.
Amy Schumer. That's a little, from me to The Rock, I think it's tough. From me to Amy Schumer, I think 30 yards, it's the same actor. But yeah, I mean, you know, Hollywood's it's a tough thing.
Listen, now it's even tougher, right? Who the fuck is going to go to a movie theater now?
It's also the idea of like represent. It's like if my grandparents and all the people that came to this country wanted to be fucking comedians or actors, we'd all be fucking dead. Thank God they had real jobs. You want more trans people at the fucking post office. You don't want trans people, gay people, or anybody to throw their lives away on this crazy profession that works out for such a small percentage of people that try it. It's crazy.
What is the percent? I mean, there's a better chance of being a professional comic.
That's a small one too.
Yeah, it's small,
yes,
but at
small.
least it's self-actualized.
To a degree. Yes.
To a degree.
To a degree.
Listen, if you're undeniable, if you're really
Yeah,
funny
but how
and you
many
keep
people?
going,
Some people think they're undeniable.
yeah, but that's wrong. But if you literally are funny, I mean, that's like fighters. Some guys think they can kick everyone's ass.
Yeah,
And then they find
they're
out.
wrong.
They
Yeah.
find out. They meet Kamaru Usman. They get fucking brain
They
damage.
got killed.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people out there that think they're the shit. But comedy is at the end of the day, it really is something that, in a sense, is pure.
Sure.
Because, you know, I had this conversation with Ali Wong. She's like, do you think comedy is a meritocracy? And I said, I think it's one of the rare ones. It really is. She goes, I agree. Because, like, it is, if you are up there and you make them laugh. Like, one of the things that's the saddest to me is watching people who are talented to a degree, but lazy. And they blame other extraneous outside forces and pressures for why they didn't make it in stand-up comedy. I'm like, man, that's rarely the case. Look at Joey Diaz.
Right.
You know, look at. There's a lot of people that are they just don't fit any fucking mold, but they're so undeniable that they make it.
Yeah.
Right. So what stops someone from achieving success? Well, a lot of times it's a lack of introspection. So a lack of objectivity. It's a lack of looking at your act and saying, well, why aren't people showing up?
Right.
Why aren't people filling these clubs? Why aren't people filling the theaters? What's happening here?
I also think it's a tough thing. You got to get into it at the right time. You got to be ready to do it. You got to have your vices in check. You got to
Or not.
We're not. We're not. But
Here's the big one.
Yeah.
I think that's unrecognized. That I think I've really zeroed in on.
yeah.
It's community.
Right.
We support each other. If we don't support each
We
other,
do,
we don't mean as much.
Well, that's 100%
It
right.
means, but it's one of the reasons why so many guys
Yeah.
are thinking about coming out here to Austin.
Yeah.
Because they know that we'll support them.
I think it's still a tough thing to do, even with all that stuff. And you got to be ready to go to war. Like you got to be ready to fight for 10 years or however long it takes. At least 20 years, yeah, at least 10. Yeah. And it's a very tough thing to do. But that's what makes it special. And all the things you said are important. But like you meet certain people and you go, that guy could have been really funny, or that girl could have been really funny. But like, you know, they get off the train, they get married, they get sidetracked, they get lazy, and they have lives. And also,
Some of them get lazy.
A lot of them get lazy.
They don't write enough.
Yeah, a lot of them get lazy.
They don't do enough.
A lot of them don't do like a podcaster. Don't do, like what I try to do like a bunch of be funny on a bunch of different platforms, which saved my life because when the stage was taken away, I was like, okay, well, I have this podcast. I can make these funny videos, and we can do these things. And like, I tried. I need to create shit, make shit. You know, so
Well, not just that. You also
some
need to
people
be
aren't crazy enough, Joe. Some people aren't crazy enough. It's got to be a little crazy.
Well, they're not crazy enough in the right ways. Like
Right.
sometimes they're crazy, but their craziness blame everybody else way,
Yeah,
which is really dangerous.
right.
It's really dangerous because you can get people to agree with you, and then
Yeah.
it doesn't help you.
Right.
If you blame everybody else, the problem with that is there's no solution because everybody else is the problem. But if you look at yourself and you go, how could I have maximized my impact?
I like
What
to
have
do
I done
both.
wrong?
I like to do both. Like I like to work very hard and still blame others.
That's not bad.
I like to still be cynical and angry and blame everyone, but also work very hard. Those are it's very few people do that, but I don't want to lose my negativity and my ability to say fuck these people, but I also work very hard. But most people can't do both. Most people go, well, fuck it. And I'm like I'll complain for half hour and they go, all right, I'm gonna go do all the stuff I gotta do. And people are like, really? It's like, yeah, that's what I do.
Well, that fuck it then is a fucking dangerous.
That's dangerous. Yeah.
Because it doesn't help you, and it's like you've encountered a puzzle, and you got to think about it like a boss in a video game. Like you hit that final level, and you can't figure out how to beat it, and you're like, it's not possible,
Right.
but it is possible because other people have beaten it.
Other people.
You know, like I had this conversation with my mom at one point in time where she was saying like she was talking to me about comedy. It just seems so hard.
Ja, sí,
I go, but you've seen professional comedians that you like, right? Right. They did it. She said, oh yeah. I go, what do you think is the difference? Right. She was like, oh, funny.
Yeah. Well, that gave you the motivation you need.
No, I thought it was hilarious because my mom is a wonderful person.
Yeah.
But she's, you know,
It's not a job for everyone.
This is the thing. Yeah. Like, my mom is not a supportive person in the sense that she's never said, you can do anything.
Right.
She's always been like, whoa, I don't know why you're doing that. But that was the case with martial arts. That was the case with
and that's a lot of people's moms.
But it's not a bad thing. They worry about the odds of you being successful.
I think the worst thing is you can do everything.
That is worse.
That's bad.
That's worse.
Because you
That's
can't.
worse.
I mean, the advice that my generation got was very like pie in the sky. It was like, you can do anything you want, follow your dreams. There was no next part of that, which is like, by the way, work, sacrifice, risk. You gotta tolerate levels of risk, right? I think that's part of it with comedy. You gotta tolerate levels of risk. You gotta do something for a while, not earn money, hope it works out, and then you gotta, it's a little risky, and depending on where you are in your life, some people are better suited to do that than others.
You also have to accept the grind. And some people, they want a break. They want a point where they cross the finish line and they're done.
Can't.
They made it. Yeah, I made it. And there's a real problem with comics who cross that finish line in terms of like they get on a television show, and then we used to see that at the store all the time.
Right.
People who were decent comics, but they would get sandwiched in between Jesselneck, Diaz, Shafir, me, and they would get stuck in the middle of that, and they would just eat shit, and they would be angry, and they'd be angry at the store. Right. And it's not the store.
Yeah, it's not their fault.
It wasn't. You were dealing with you were in an assassin's lineup, and look, there's a parallel in jiu-jitsu, okay? And the parallel in jiu-jitsu is like, if you're in a gym where there's a bunch of white belts and blue belts, and you're a black belt, you go in there, you have what's called an easy roll. Like, people don't know, they're not at your level, and you can kind of tap everybody, and you never get tapped. But then you'll go to like some fucking crazy gym where everybody's an assassin, and you get handled. Right. And you get angry. Those guys roll too hard. They're gonna get injured. They're this. They're that. But no. They're willing to get injured. They're willing to fight and battle it out at a different level. They're willing to hit a certain RPMs that maybe you're not comfortable with because you can't do that every day if you have a life. If you have a life and a job and a career and a family and a mortgage, you're not going to put in 8 hours a day on the fucking mat. So some guys are. You can't be mad at them.
Can't be mad at them.
And if you go to the store basically doesn't exist anymore. If you go to a place like what the store was a year ago,
Cellar or whatever,
it's more the store.
Yeah.
Because the Cellar was really good. It's a really great club, but it wasn't the same sort of assassin's lineup.
Right.
You would have like Chappelle would drop in or
Right.
Attell would be there, but
Right.
God damn it, there was nights at the store where you would look at the line, we would laugh like this is
Crazy.
fucking
It's like
crazy.
historic.
It's
Yeah.
Tuesday night and
It's
this is
historic. Yeah. Yeah.
But you gotta be in that life. You gotta live that life. 100%.
You got to be in it 100%, and like that's why the kid I'm with is in it 100%. Like everybody,
That kid I'm worried about.
yeah, he's gonna fail, but it's
But you call him your opener. That's a problem.
well, he opens right now. I was someone's open. I mean, this is what happens. You've called people your open, but like I want to be surrounded by people who are in it.
yes.
I want to be surrounded by people that are like, I want to get better every day.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And that's important no matter what level you're at. I think to surround yourself with people who are like truly about getting better.
Yeah.
And so many people are not. And they look at, but then, you look at Bill Burr or Chappelle or you or guys that just have so many hours of material out and have crafted hour after hour after hour after hour. And you go, fuck, if I want to hang with those guys, I got to be a lot better. And even people like, you go over the store and you look at some people that are not famous and they're amazing. It's like, in order to be at that level, you just got to keep working.
Well, this is the thing about being famous. I think I have a responsibility when I find people who are very funny, who aren't
Stevie,
famous,
I
I want to get them famous.
Right.
And
Right.
I really feel that.
Yeah,
I have a pull. I don't know. I have a lot of responsibility in life, but I feel like I have a responsibility to this art form that's been very, very good to me.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to really set up shop here.
Yeah.
Because I felt like because of this podcast, because this podcast is a gigantic antenna, it's a gigantic broadcasting station.
Yeah.
It's like I can get the word out about people.
Right. Well, you've always done that. You did that for me. You did it with a lot of people. You built the scene in LA kind of single-handedly, right?
Well, I didn't build it. It was
You
already
didn't build
there.
it, but you gave it a spotlight.
I used what I had with the podcast, and I said, let's jumpstart this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can do that here, and that's one of the things that I want to do. And I think about it all the time, man.
Right.
I'm like, my wife would be talking to me about furniture and shit,
Right.
and I'm thinking like, I could build this motherfucker up.
Yeah.
I can make this place utopia. I can make this place a stand-up haven.
Yeah.
I really,
Sure.
that's like one of my main goals in life right now is to just figure out a way to, as a person who's established, can stand up and then financially established and secure, like you could just sit back and retire and relax on your laurels and just never work again. Or you can say, I can make a difference in this art form, and then I can give a platform and create a place where people are safe. We can experiment, you can take chances. Like I used to take Ari Shaffir on the road with me, and I'd get him so high he'd forget what he was talking about.
Right.
And he'd go, I'm too high, I can go on stage. I go, dude, it doesn't matter. You can't get fired.
Right.
I said this to him. I go, you're my friend.
Right.
I go, you never get fired.
Right.
I go, I want you to be free to fuck around.
Right. Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah. I go, yeah, you can never get fired.
Yeah. Well, he's been a little too free in the last year.
But it's debatable. But that's the thing about giving people the space to be who they are.
Yeah, of course.
You have to give them the space to make mistakes.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like you can establish that in an environment like Austin that's not connected to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because we were always, there's a carrot that was dangled in front of us. You can get a sitcom, you can get a talk show, you can be in movies. And that was always the carrot. And
Right.
these comics sort of hoard themselves out to become part of that. And there's a lot of good comics who became terrible talk show hosts and terrible movie actors. And they, whatever spark of brilliance that existed in their stand-up comedy in the early days that could have possibly led to something truly exceptional was extinguished. And it was extinguished by this idea that you could become a part of this system that was very controlled and very censored and very, that you could only exist, you had to be left-wing, you had to be progressive, you had to be, you can't have any controversial opinions because if you did, people come after you. Like you have this like weird little area where as a comic, like for a guy like you, that's
it's not going to happen.
It's not good.
It's not good. It's not good that there's such a stifling of that. But then there's also like, listen, there's got to be shitty shows for people that want to watch them. So let a lot of those comics write shitty shows.
Let actors do it.
Let actors do it. Like whatever. Like to me, I'm like, hey, if that's the way you want to spend your life, writing for whatever late night show, fill in the blank, you can do that.
Some guys could have been. There's a lot of guys who could have gone if they were here or if they were in Hollywood in the late '90s, they could have gone down that road. Like there's the brilliant guys of today, like Schultz or Giannis Papas or a lot of these guys. They could have been seduced. I don't think they would have been.
Right.
Some guys of that level could have been seduced and drawn into and then it's like, hey, you're getting $100,000 an episode to be on some terrible fucking sitcom where they have laugh tracks.
And there's no freedom. There's no creative freedom.
Yeah. There's a few of those shows that are still in the air. And I watch them sometimes now. And
But they're for someone, right? Those shows are for people whose brains are broken.
OxyContin.
That's a large portion of America. So they have to have entertainment too. Like there's a lot of people out there that are not intellectually able to listen to you talk about Weinstein for 3 hours. They want to watch something stupid, and they want to watch the show. Let them have it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not saying they should stop doing those shows.
Right.
I mean, listen, man, you should still make children's books.
Yes.
That's
100% right. It's 100% right.
Modern art. You want to go watch a bunch of fucking paint splatter on the wall.
Yeah.
I
I feel like You in Austin is almost hilarious because it's almost like a crazy movie where you are teaching like blue-haired Antifa people to be comedians. Like, because there's a lot of like really wild, far, whacked out people here, and there's something hilarious about you like telling a fat activist that that they should hold it down on the waffles and write more. Like there's something hilarious about you.
You could do both.
You could do both, yeah. But it's a. I love performing here. I love it, and I'm excited to see what happens.
This is gonna get crazy, Tim.
Yeah,
this place is gonna be crazy. No, it's 100%.
I think it'll get crazy.
Stay alive.
Yeah,
if I can stay alive, it's gonna get crazy.
Yeah,
I'm 100%. I'm all in.
Yeah,
I got plans.
I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah, I mean,
I've told you those plans. You've seen the pictures.
I'm excited.
We got some shit happening.
It's gonna be crazy.
Well, I can't wait to announce all the things that we have happening.
Yeah, because it's crazy.
It's gonna get buck wild.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. Segura's already moved here. He's already bought a house here.
People are opening
Hinchcliffe
clubs.
moved here. Yeah. Cap City's reopening. Mark Grossman from Helium is involved in that.
Yeah.
All that stuff is very good, man.
There's going to be a lot of different options for people that want to do comedy.
And I'm going to help everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not about like just for me or if I open a club, my club. I'm not about any of that. I'm about let's go, everybody. Come on down. Let's go. I want to suck as many people into this vortex as possible
that are funny.
Yeah,
and want to work hard. Yeah,
the people that and then the people that are thinking about it, like I'm struggling. I'm doing open mic in Kansas City. It's not working out. Come on down.
Right,
we can do this.
Yeah,
we can do this. Yeah,
absolutely.
This is a fucking wild place, man.
Yeah,
and this place is this weird spot where they used to be run by the Comanches 150 years ago. Right. You have to realize how nuts that is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
150 years ago, like if you were a white person, you were walking down the road here, you get shot with an arrow.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people here that want that to be the case now. A lot of people will bring that committee. It'll be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with New York and LA and when the quarantine's over and what people are out there vaccinated, things are better. Those cities I'd like to see get back.
They don't even have to get vaccinated. You see what those numbers on COVID are?
They're low.
Once Biden became president,
they're dropping.
COVID was really excited about Biden and Harris.
Yeah. They got dropped. Well, COVID's over. Yeah, I mean things are dropping, and we're ready to go back to work. Yeah,
they dropped by 50. The cases dropped by 50.
That's suspect.
No, stop being a conspiracy theorist. It's fine.
That's a little suspect.
No.
Yeah, that's
not even a little worry.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm excited. I'm back out on the road, and I'm getting back to doing these things, and hopefully these clubs start opening at a larger capacity. My favorite people
is you tweeted about this. The people that have never worked at these clubs literally don't work.
Wow.
They're mad that people have to do stand up.
It's so great. You'd think it's comedy, if you want finance and it didn't work, you'd quit and leave. But it's like the idea of somebody just walking around Goldman Sachs complaining and going, these people just go away. But they're on Twitter and they're angry that they haven't built a fan base. They didn't work hard. They spent their time drinking, drugging, whatever they did. They just participating in conversations that are meant for people that are actually earning a living at this thing. And they're not, and
Right.
never have, and they're still trying to participate in those conversations. So to me, it's like, fucking nut be if I started talking to UFC fighters. Well, I don't actually think it's like, what the fuck? You
Yeah.
have no
Yeah.
place in this conversation.
Well, they're allowed to have their opinions, but they need to understand that we understand where their opinions are coming from.
Right.
Their opinions are coming from, they don't, when I was 21 years old and I was an open micer, I remember wanting people to bomb, and it's shameful. It's a
Oh,
shameful.
you don't want them to
feeling.
bomb anymore?
No.
It's so fun. Are you crazy?
I wanted people to bomb that were going on stage because I wanted to feel good about me.
Dude, there's nothing
was
better.
jealous.
We had a guy in Long Island once that gave me and my friend a 25-minute discussion. He talked, literally like lectured us about how comedy worked. And then he went out and bombed horribly, and it was the greatest thing ever. And then he walked back in, he looked at us and went, they were good. And then he just walked out of the green room. Because the level of delusion
Yeah.
is just, it's enviable.
There was a guy that I worked with back in the early days of my career, and he was the host of an open mic night. And I went up, and I had a pretty decent set, but I guess I swore a lot.
Right.
And he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Joe fucking Rogan," and he goes, "Can he say fuck enough? Jesus Christ!" And so off stage, the guy pulls me aside and lectures me,
Yeah.
and he tells me, and he goes, he had this bit, and the bit had the word fuck in it, and he had to remove the word fuck because he realized that the word fuck was hampering his bit. And I said, I think the only way that bit works is if you say fuck, right?
Right.
And it shows that you're actually angry.
Right.
And that's how people talk when they're
Right.
really angry about things. And he goes, if you want to work, and he goes, you remove those words, because those words are a problem. You're getting laughs now. He goes, but you want to be a professional? He goes, this
Right.
is not even, and he was like really picking to me. And I recognized at the time, I mean, he was one of those guys who would go on stage with like a gas station attendant jacket on.
Right.
You know those guys who do that?
Yeah.
With like the name tag on. They would
Yes.
wear the wacky
Character.
clothes. Yeah, he was trying hard to be like a funny guy.
Right.
He had like striped socks on.
Right.
I'm wacky.
Yeah.
And then, I shouldn't have done this, but years later, when I became successful,
Yeah.
when I was on a sitcom, I was working with him, and he was the host, and I was a headliner, and I said, I want you to go on stage, and I want you to tell all those people about all these credits that I have that you don't.
Right.
And then I want you to tell them how you gave me really terrible advice when I was an open micer, and then you feel
God.
bad. Go ahead, do that.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like this, like,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's what you did. I was an
That's
open
crazy.
micer. You made me feel shitty because you were bombing.
Right.
Your life was awful.
Right.
And you didn't like the fact that you were this like mediocre, like middling
Yeah.
sort of local stand-up comic,
And that
you were
guy-
suppressing all these other voices.
And that guy now is Bill de Blasio. So you see how it
became
all
a
works
radio
out.
DJ in
Did
the
he
middle of
really?
nowhere. Yeah, it was really weird. But he literally said to me, I go, but the guys that I've always liked are dirty. I go, the guys that I've always liked have been like Sam Kinison and
Yeah.
Dice Clay. He goes, you're not Kinison. You're not Dice. This is what he said to
Yeah.
me. And I was like, but they weren't Dice.
Yeah.
They weren't Kinison when they first started.
Right.
And he's like, all right, you don't want to
Yeah.
listen? You don't want to listen?
Yeah.
Fine. It
Right.
was a real shitty
The
moment.
Patrice doc is coming out on Comedy Central, and I want to watch that. I haven't watched anything on Comedy Central in 10 years, and then probably won't again after this. But that's a guy
Are you
who
good?
knew.
I loved him.
Yeah,
Let's get
he,
that
that doc, I mean,
out,
he's like, for the guys that I'm around and the New York guys that we kind of came up, he's just our